character performer, party princess, hero interpreter. At the end of the day, it's all synonyms for the same term, character entertainment. And it is a very hard term to define, if I'm being honest. Usually when you search up the term, the sentence dressing up as a character comes up, and it's such a huge misconception, to be honest. We do so much more than just putting on a gown and a little bit of makeup and walking out the door. That's why I like to say that character entertainment is the art of successfully interpreting characters that are fantastic storybook or animated and bringing them to life through performances at birthday parties and events, through acting methods, dance skills, vocals, etc. When you come to think of it, character entertainment has been around for decades and we never really noticed. But if you come to think of it, the occasional clown always pops up at a birthday party. Or if you go to the mall during the holidays, for as long as you can remember, you probably know that Santa's there taking pictures with kids. But I feel like what solidified our industry and turned it into an art form, it was the opening of Disneyland Park on July 1955. I feel like that opening just changed the ball game for everybody, because you had Mickey, Minnie, Snow White, all these characters under Disney's name during that opening, meeting and greeting guests. And you go to a theme park today and you're looking for Pocahontas, and walking around Animal Kingdom, you're probably gonna stumble upon her and have a beautiful, magical, genuine 55-second to a minute and a half interaction where you feel like you just stepped into Pocahontas' world. And that was what changed the ball game. It was more than just taking pictures, it was bringing the character to life and creating an experience. Performers grasped onto that magic, and that's why in the early 2000s, companies started popping up in different places, but it was still something really rare. What gave our industry a push was when cosplay became a trending thing. And even though what we do is not cosplay, cosplay is something much more aesthetic. Cosplayers tend to go to conventions and they create their stunning pieces for aesthetic purposes. We do so for performance purposes. But nonetheless, cosplayers came out with these amazing superhero suits and glittering princess ball gowns, and that took our industry a step further, because it gravitated everybody into the mindset of, oh, I don't have to go to Party City and get a cheap costume. I can genuinely go out, all out with this costume. And our final push was honestly the pandemic.
Well, as more Hoosiers get vaccinated, parents in central Indiana are getting back to planning birthday parties for their kids.
One local company which provides fairy tale princesses for parties has seen a 600% jump in business in the past few months. So I just had to find out why Indy's Once Upon a Princess is now living happily ever after.
The pandemic was the moment where lots of companies sprung up, and lots of existing companies like Pixie Dust did, like mine, really understood the legacy that we had in our hands and gravitated entirely from only entertaining at birthday parties to doing something much more meaningful. And that was because, you know, we put on our gowns and we turned on the phone and we started entertaining, but we also started educating. People were looking for things to do in the middle of the pandemic, and we started using our characters as these educational vessels to teach things to kids. In fact, there are so many princesses around the world who are doing just that right now.
Hi, I'm Michaela and I am the owner of A Dreams Wish Parties LLC. We do an event that is so special. It's called Princess Day at the Castle. It's our absolute favorite, and it's our favorite for a bunch of reasons. So it takes place in a castle in our area, and it's so special. It's kind of like a museum, but usually it's only open to adults. They love seeing the history, all of the furniture, all of the decorations in the space, but usually it's not something open to children because there's not much for them to do there. They would just be walking through the space, so usually it's not something that is open for them. But we created Princess Day at the Castle, where the kids get to come in, they get to meet so many different princesses. We've had 6 to 8 princesses there. Even one time we had 10 characters, and it's so special. They're going through the whole space and suddenly they are a part of the story. They're loving the details. They're getting to see all of the books in the library. They're getting to see the paintings on the walls, the doors. They're really becoming a part of the story. It is so special and they're so excited to be there. And they go from princess to princess, learning a different value of what it means to be a princess. So they'll meet one character and they will find out that being a princess is about being a good leader. They'll talk about how they can be a good leader in their community, in their family, and then they'll get a stamp on their badge. Once they've completed the whole badge and met all the characters, they get a coronation ceremony to become a real princess, or a prince too. We do have little boys who come as well. It is so special. They feel so empowered. They've learned so much, and they've been immersed in this history of our community, and it is just so special. The parents love it because they're learning a lot, they're feeling empowered, they're feeling confident, and they'll go home saying, well, I want to go read a book just like my favorite princess because I want to be smart and learn all of these things and be a great leader. So we absolutely love doing that. And our coronation ceremony is always a part of our parties, no matter where we are, and it really empowers and educates them too on being a strong leader and a kind person in their community. So I absolutely love that event. I think it's so special. It's such a great way to bring kids into the story and into this space that they're able to learn and grow.
I'm in kind of a special position as a Princess Party owner, as I'm a foreigner in the country that I operate in. I'm operating in Iceland. I don't fully speak Icelandic. I speak kind of enough, but I'm nowhere near fluent. And so this means that with my company, I've pivoted to focus on including foreigners more. Iceland actually has a foreign population of about 15%, I think. It's quite big. I mean, it's a very small country, so it's very easy to skew the statistics one way or another. And so what that means for me is that I have made an effort to hire, almost all of my performers are also foreigners. We only have one Icelander who plays Spider-Man. Everybody else is from Ukraine, Poland, Venezuela, and then me and my husband are from France. And so what we've been doing is we focused on creating these events and these spaces that are essentially a safe space for foreigners to come and have fun, and we also include the Icelanders. It's good to expose them to like other languages, other cultures. So our biggest product is these multilingual story hours that we do, which we take one princess in each language and we read stories and make sure everybody feels included. And as far as I can tell, really only people, let alone princesses, doing this, and the fact that it's princesses and everyone can really unite around these international characters, like they're recognizable by the Polish children, the Ukrainian children, the Icelandic children. Everybody knows who Elsa is, and it's just really wonderful to be able to give all of them the same opportunity to have the same magical experience no matter where they're from.
Just like these performers, my company has also taken steps to explore the educational power of character entertainment, including a project that combines storytelling and education. Today, my company had an incredible milestone of a process that has been ongoing for like a year and a half, and that is because I wanted to take my creativity a step further, and I started creating original characters that are unique to my company because they are created by me. And the first ever character that I put out was Sprinkles the Christmas elf. She works at Santa's Bakery over at the North Pole, and her story is all about appreciating the little tasks that contribute to a greater whole. And I wanted this story to be known by everybody, and I sat down one day and I thought, why not make it a children's book? I'm already an educational character company. Why not take the education a step further? And I talked to my illustrator, I talked to my editor, and the Great Small Christmas Secret was born. It was heartwarming to see so many families walk out the door with the book in their hands, and the kids learned so much at the event and interacted with Sprinkles so much, and they learned life lessons and teachings. They crafted their Christmas letter, and they made a promise to, be good and nice until Christmas came around, and that teaches them morals and values.
Prometo que lo que queda del año, yo me voy a portar súper bien. Y voy a sacar buenas notas en la escuela.
Creating impactful educational experiences requires more than just a costume. It takes training and preparation to communicate valuable lessons effectively.
Character trainers do need to train, and a lot, because we're impersonating someone that children really do believe is real and that you are them. So for them to have the best experience possible, you need to really know what you're doing. Like, for example, today I'm dressed as Sprinkles, as an elf. So I do need to know her history. Where is she from? What does she do? Who are her friends, her family, her sidekicks? And that's just all to make the magic just even more believable.
Use your imagination and you put yourself in the circumstances. You imagine that you are the character, and based off of what you know about the character or what you find out, you can come up with all different kinds of creative ways to really bring her to life.
So right now I am preparing to portray Jane Porter from Tarzan, and it honestly depends on their backstory and everything you can get from their film or anything that is from their storybook. At least for Jane, she comes from England, so study English literature and English history. Also know everything that there is to do with her wardrobe, everything that there is to do with the culture and literature about England. And then obviously talk about animals. You have to learn about the wilderness and about Africa and where she is based now that it's with Tarzan.
I always tell this story because it's hilarious to me. So whenever people ask me recently, oh, to interpret a character, do you have to learn how to move like them, talk like them, all that stuff? And I go yeah, we learn how to move like them and talk like them. The hardest part is learning how to think like them. Because you're shedding your own skin and becoming somebody else. You have to be on top of your toes with absolutely everything. And I always tell people, the extent to what we go to in order to correctly interpret a character and teach kids through performances is summarized in this sentence. At my last character training session, I told my Merida performers, listen, I want you to go home, I want you to turn on National Geographic and watch a documentary about bears. Learn how they hibernate, what they eat, how they move, in what ecosystems do they thrive, do they sweat? Because you spent 3 days with your mom turned as a bear, and your little brothers were bears. You gotta know these things. None of my performers looked at me confused. On the contrary, a conversation just sprung up about all of the educational life lessons, values, even the things that we learned at school that we thought we were never going to use, how we're going to bring all of those things back into our performances. And then my Mary Poppins performer goes oh, I think I'm going to learn table etiquette to teach that to kids so that they know manners. And then my Aurora performers go oh yeah, I feel like Aurora is very undervalued. People don't think that she has a personality, but they do. She's big on herbology. Girl has to know what berries are poisonous or not. She lived in the woods. So I feel like I'll brush up on that. And my Encanto performers, who usually portray Mirabelle and Isabella, they were looking up Colombian traditions and cultural gatherings so that they knew about the culture like the back of their hand whenever they went to events. And that is just the extent to what we can go to. Despite this level of dedication, character entertainers often face misconceptions about what we do.
People don't understand that arts are actually a way of communicating, of expressing, and actually the only thing that we have from the past is the art. Is the way how we have known each other. And it's so important for everyone to understand that art is also valuable and it's also a job. I do photography, I do cinematography, I do animation, I act. I am a performer, so it's really like my key element to create and give a message. Like that is like, I feel like it's my calling, like create something so people can relate and know that they're not alone in this world. You know, we are going through the same things, and maybe something that I want to do inspires something or someone else to do something else. So
and then compared to me, who grew up on performing at shows and ballet, and then got into acting and musical theater, who loves it and that's what I want to do, at least for me, that experience of kind of like, oh, and then what else?
Yeah,
Theater
what is your
and what
real
else?
job? Like
Exactly. With this industry, kind of just seeing like, okay, you come to the birthday party, take pictures, sing happy birthday, and then leave. You do so much more than that. We are the living lesson for your kid, because the movie they're watching, they're experiencing the story, but then they're literally living, and they're like, oh my god, it's the princess, it's the princess from the movie, who this and this, and then they kind of understand the lesson that from the movie with a deeper meaning.
yeah, and they get to connect with the princess with you. So it's really important to connect with the child. Like it's not an easy task to connect with childs.
So that I think that's why we as a company are so different, because we do bring that element of kind of a deeper meaning. This isn't just another party. This is another day to give a kid a lesson that maybe they didn't exactly see or notice the first like 7 billion times they watched the movie. But now this time they're kind of like, oh my god, they were in my party and we did this activity and we did that and we painted, but we figure out what's hot and what's cold, or we figure out how to read a clock, stuff that you kind of never think of because, oh, they'll just teach it in school.
It's clear that character entertainment is much more than meets the eye. But how can we solidify our role in education and culture? I recently conducted a survey with character entertainers from around the world, and I asked them why, if they were so interested in being this educational and cultural resource in their communities, why were they not? And so many of them disappointedly said that there is a lack for demand and audience, and that's when I reached the conclusion that the character entertainment industry is more than ready to become an educational and cultural resource for schools, libraries, museums, cultural entities, nonprofits. The problem is that those schools, libraries, museums, entities, educational nonprofits, they have to reach out to us. They have to open their eyes and see that we can be a key element into a child's learning process. It is proven scientifically that children learn better when they learn through play. And honestly, what better, like today, I could have had a regular book launch, but having a book launch with the character is far more engaging and educational for your children because they learn from the character firsthand. It's not the same thing to go to a library than to go to a library storytelling with Belle. Learn a baking class with Tiana, which is an owner of a restaurant and the queen of baking beignets. It is not the same thing to have an art class than to have an art class with Rapunzel. All of those ideas, I know that there are so many companies around the world who have had them, and we have so many more than the ones that you have witnessed today, the ones that have been shared with you. We are just in that process of educating our audience into understanding that character entertainment is an art form that not only entertains, but it also educates, inspires, and connects communities. We are character entertainers.
I'm a party princess.
I'm a character entertainer.
I am a princess performer.
I am a princess.
I'm an artist and I'm a living role model.
And I do much more than just dress up.
Teach important values.
I am more than just a story.
And my creations do have meaning.
And we welcome you to our creative industry.